The Fenstanton lock keeper's house was the only home Billy Cottage had ever known. The house stood by itself on a small plot of muddy, barren ground, less than 100 yards from the lock. The lock lay about half a mile from Fenstanton and about a mile from St. Ives as the crow flies, though neither the river nor the walkways along its banks followed a path anything like the crow. Billy's father, Tommy, had been the Fenstanton lock-keeper for more than 30 years. Billy and his sister Eve, 2 years his junior, had been born in the house to Tommy and his wife Marjorie, and had never lived even a minute of their lives anywhere else. Tommy had died suddenly some 7 years earlier, followed in a matter of months by Marjorie. No one inquired into the two relatively early deaths, both almost certainly the result of years of heavy drinking, and as no one seemed to object or suggest any alternative, Billy simply took over his father's role as lock-keeper. He was now 28 years of age. The house was a small 2-story stone structure with a grey tiled roof, the exterior walls painted in a rough off-white cement paint. At the rear was a garden marked off by a low brick wall, in which someone more enterprising than Billy might have grown vegetables, or at least flowers. The ground floor consisted of a living room and a kitchen, with a storage area under the stairs. Upstairs were 2 bedrooms, separated by an airing cupboard. The airing cupboard also housed the geyser which supplied the house with modest quantities of hot water. The walls of the living room and bedrooms were papered in green or blue floral patterns. The doors varnished in a dark brown. The wallpaper was faded and torn, the plaster crumbling and the window panes cracked in places. Billy had no idea how long the house had looked like this, though it was certainly for as long as he could remember. The only improvement made during his lifetime had been made by Tommy, who had converted the outside earth closet at the rear of the house into a water closet, a venture which seemed to exhaust all the energy and money he had to spend on the house. Its exposed position made it vulnerable to the bone-chilling east winds which blew in from the fens in winter. Even in summer it was rarely warm. The lock-keeper's work was hard. His main duty was to open and close the gates of the lock and control the sluices. When a craft arrived, the pilot would summon him by ringing a large school bell affixed to a post by the gate. The pilot would pay the fee, manoeuvre his craft in and out of the lock, and be on his way. That was the easy part. There was no money to pay other workers to cut back the reeds or shovel away the silt, tasks which must be performed diligently for the river to remain navigable. Already, parts of the great ooze upstream towards Northamptonshire, where the river rose, were almost impassable, and long stretches towards the Wash, where it ran to the sea, were difficult for larger craft. Tommy had taken it upon himself to work the banks for almost a quarter of a mile, upstream and downstream of his lock. The St. Ives keeper did the same on the opposite bank, and between them they kept their section of the river flowing between the infrequent visits of the dredging barges sent by the Great Ooze Catchment Board. Neither Billy nor Eve had received much in the way of education. Billy was too useful to Tommy to be wasted on something with as little practical value as reading and writing, and he was always in trouble for playing truant.